Recently, I've been covering a lot of flagship phones. So today I thought I should get a lot of these phones together and do a different kind of battery drain test. Instead of randomly trying to run the batteries dry, I wanted to simulate some kind of actual usage to see how the battery lives compare. Now, I've got 8 phones here. From left to right, we've got the OnePlus 12, IQOO 12 Pro, Redmagic 9 Pro, Xiaomi 14 Pro, iPhone 15 Pro Max, Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Vivo X100 Pro, and the Realme GT5 Pro. Now, I have the battery capacities listed on screen. Now, all these phones, I've set them to their max resolutions and the refresh rates are set to default, meaning ones with LTPO might have an edge. I've set the brightness to 200 nits to maintain parity. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are on, speaker volume is set to 100%. So what I'm going to be doing is a series of rounds on what I feel would be good for day-to-day use. And before we get to all that, my name's Ash, you're watching C4E Tech. I've put a lot of time and effort into getting this video together, so if it's not too much of a hassle, I'd really appreciate if you drop a like to this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, given how much we use video calls these days, I decided to start with 30 minutes of video calls. Now, by the end of it, I was a little surprised to see the S23 Ultra drop the max battery. Similarly surprising was the fact that the IQOO 12 Pro has no visible drop yet. The Vivo X100 Pro and the Realme GT5 Pro each dropped 1%, the rest a uniform 2%. So next, I decided to play back a YouTube video for about an hour. Now, this is being played back in 4K. By the end of the hour, we had the highest drop on the IQOO 12 Pro this time, 13%. The Redmagic, no surprises, it has a 6500 mAh mammoth battery, right? So it dropped only 8%. It's the only one that still got over 90% juice left. The rest, all the phones are in 80 something percents. Next up, I wanted to simulate intense gaming, so I decided to run the 3D Mark Wildlife stress test. Notice how I went Wildlife instead of my usual Wildlife Extreme. Now that's because a lot of these phones that I tested, they did not make it through the extreme stress test. So I was hoping running the regular version would mean they wouldn't crash, but nope. With the exception of the S23 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, Realme GT5 Pro and the Vivo X100 Pro, every other phone crashed. The Xiaomi 14 Pro crashed multiple times and surprisingly the Redmagic, an actual gaming phone, it shut down. So I had to manually rerun the tests. So after 20 minutes of these phones being continuously pushed, I was quite surprised to see the Redmagic and the IQOO 12 Pro have the maximum drop, 13%. The iPhone barely broke a sweat, dropped only 5%, down to 82% from 87%. The S23 Ultra was the next best, dropping 7% and it's down to 76% now. Rest of the phones, they dropped 8 or 9% each. Okay, moving on. A browsing test. This, I feel, is something that's part of most of our regular day-to-day use, browsing things on the web. Now, after 30 minutes, the iPhone unsurprisingly had the lowest drop of 4%. The OnePlus 12 and the Realme GT5 Pro dropped 6% each, which is the max for this round. Now, do note that the IQOO 12 Pro is now the first phone to drop below 70%, though it's only dropped 5% this round, like most other phones. Next, we get to short form videos. Now, I don't know about you, I try not to watch these, but I oftentimes end up stuck doom scrolling. So I decided to add 30 minutes of this because I feel it's gonna be regular use for most people. And yes, surprisingly, this time iPhone had the biggest drop, 7%. That said, it's still in the lead with 71% juice left. The Redmagic 9 Pro and the Realme GT5 Pro had the smallest drop, 4% each. The Vivo X100 Pro dropped 5% and the rest of the phones, they dropped 6% each. And now let's switch to casual gaming for 30 minutes, Temple Run 2. Here the S23 Ultra loses the most, 7%, it's down to 58% now. The iPhone 15 Pro Max loses the least, less than half of what the Samsung lost at just 3% and it's holding good, 68%. The rest of the phones, they all lose 5 to 6% here. Now finally, let's get to 4K video recording. We are going to do this for 40 minutes because cameras these days are a big part of what we do with our phones, right? The Xiaomi 14 Pro, it did overheat and stop in between, needed to be restarted. Here the Vivo X100 Pro lost the most, 19%, pushing it down from its number 2 spot down to number 5. The Redmagic 9 Pro lost the least, only 10%. The iQOO 12 Pro lost 11%, S23 Ultra and the GT5 Pro 13%, the iPhone 15 Pro Max 14%, the Xiaomi 14 Pro 16%. Now while using phones is great, I also wanted to add an idle drain aspect to this test, so I decided to let all these phones idle for 3 hours. Now at the end of 3 hours, the iPhone had the lowest idle drain of just 1%, the S23 Ultra had the most, 3%, rest of the phones had a uniform 2% loss each. So here's the final result. At last place, we have the S23 Ultra and the Xiaomi 14 Pro with 42% battery left. The Vivo X100 Pro and the iQOO 12 Pro are tied for 5th place with 44% left in the tank. The OnePlus 12 comes in at number 4 with 45% left. The Redmagic 9 Pro and the Realme GT5 Pro tie for 2nd spot with half their battery intact. And the iPhone wins with 53% left in the tank. Now I know it sucks. Anytime the iPhone wins a test, I'm gonna receive a lot of hate for it. But then again, the numbers I get are the numbers I get. There's really nothing I can do about it. So anyways, did you come in expecting these results? Are you, like me, surprised the Redmagic didn't fare better? Is there something you'd like for me to do differently with future tests like these? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.